So has this area been bombed by air force before?
24. Before the regime is over, in 2 days before that, the air force of Russia.
In 1982, the Syrian government led by Assad launched a military operation here in Hama to suppress the uprising by the Muslim Brotherhood. The event known as Hama massacre resulted in the deaths of thousands and left.
Because before 2011, we used to get like at least in this hotel 60 to 70 foreigners, travelers from Europe, from all of Asia. But since the war started, until now, no tourists. I would say no tourists.
No tourists. And may I know how's the current safety situation given the situation?
Well, especially like nowadays because of the US-Israeli-Iranian war.
Yeah, just stop in the middle. We drove north from Hama on the way to Aleppo. Here you see a few of abandoned settlements known as dead cities. These villages actually were once paupers. So I am in the middle of the what seems like amusement park here in Idlib. But as you see, the whole park has completely abandoned. There's obviously no one here aside from me. So what makes Idlib a special city is it's one of the most unusual political territory in the modern Middle East.
Breaking news on this special edition of What You Need to Know. Attack on Iran. The US and Israel launching a wide-scale assault on Tehran. Plumes of smoke seen rising in the country.
As you can hear, the air raid sirens have now started here in Tel Aviv.
It's having an impact in the Middle East and beyond.
Oh my God!
And also other countries in the Middle East where the US has a presence. And it's not just hitting military targets. Luxury hotels, shopping malls, airports, oil installations, and apartment buildings have also been damaged.
And scenes across Lebanon. Rescuers work through the night to try to find survivors under rubble. Few, if any, come out alive. No one expected strikes in such areas of Beirut, which have been outside the conflict.
Every headline made the Middle East sounds like a place you stay away from. I was heading toward it. In the middle of rising tensions, I am moving through the region by land. I wanted to see what people were doing while all of that was happening. So has this area been bombed by air force before?
24. Before the regime is over, in 2 days before that, the air force of Russia bombing the bridge, and this bridge connecting between the north and Minami. So you need to go to this.
We need to make a detour.
The bridge type.
The one.
The one. That Russian Air Force wanted.
But now it's recovered?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pours over the bridge to seal out moisture from all the girders and the entire bridge. Then the next stage will begin, God willing. Road marking and installing lighting and fully opening the bridge. And these stages might take from a month and a half to 2 months at the absolute maximum, meaning after May 15th, or by the end of the 5th month, this bridge will be in service, lighted, fully paved, God willing, and ready. We will perform full maintenance on all the dampers located along the entire bridge. Unfortunately, the bridge, since it was installed from the very first day it was installed, no maintenance was done on it. So the process was a restoration process plus a full maintenance process for the bridge. And God willing, it will be put into service as soon as possible. God willing.
This guy, this is fish, right? But this is fake one, right?
Yep. But there's someone, if you see it, have a real one.
Yeah.
If you know it.
السلام عليكم.
الو السلام.
كيف حالك؟
تمام الحمد لله.
الحمد لله. So, welcome to the city named Hama, which is like around 50 kilometers north on Homs, and one of the major cities located in between Damascus and Aleppo, another big city on the north. So at first glance, Hama looks quite peaceful. As you see behind, giant water wheels slowly turn along, just as they have for centuries. But beneath this quiet surface lies one of the most traumatic chapters in modern history in Syria. In 1982, the Syrian government led by Assad launched a military operation here in Hama to suppress an uprising by the Muslim Brotherhood. The event known as Hama massacre resulted in the deaths of thousands and left lasting scars on the country's political landscape.
In the early 1980s, the Syrian regime under Assad launched a brutal military campaign against the city, targeting those suspected of opposing his rule. The most infamous massacre took place in February 1982, regarded as the single bloodiest assault by an Arab ruler against his own people in modern times.
The 1980s massacre started from 1978 until 1982. During that time, there was bloodshed. In 1982, Hama was besieged for 7 days. The regime forces killed around 50,000 people, men, women, and children. Entire families were wiped out. I was arrested in 1982 and spent 11 years in Tadmor prison. We suffered greatly during that time.
Traditional restaurant here in Hama with amazing interiors, you see, which gives you a kind of ancient vibe. Really amazing. This is the hotel where I'm staying here in Hama, which actually very used to be popular among travelers from all over the world. Syria used to be quite popular tourist destination for not only Japanese but also travelers from all over the world. But since the war started, Syria became more like a conflict state rather than tourist destination. You see here a bookshelf where you see a number of books written in different languages. Surprisingly, I found so many books written in Japanese. Even we had a guidebooks all about traveling around Syria. So even in 2026, when things slowly getting better, but the tourists is still not yet, not too much. Because currently I am probably the only foreign travelers who stay in this hotel, which used to be quite popular among travelers. So that implies war changed all landscape. So I met a nice guys working here hotel in Hama.
Well, it's real hotel.
It's named the Real Hotel, which used to be quite reputable among tourists before. But since the war started, I think the tourism sector had been affected, right?
Yeah. It's became much less than what it used to be. Yeah, because before 2011, we used to get like at least in this hotel 60 to 70 foreigners, travelers from Europe, from all of Asia. But since the war started, until now, no tourists. I would say no tourists.
No tourists.
No tourists at all. You get like, for example, 2 or 3 people every 10 days.
Every 10 days.
Yeah. Where you used to get at least 50 to 60 people every day before 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now mainly locals. Mainly locals.
Local. Yeah.
Also like a few people from, let's say, Lebanon, Jordan, the Arab countries, the neighborhood.
So you don't really see foreigners like me, especially Asian.
We get like few Asians, like mainly well, number of Chinese increased in during this time.
Okay.
Mainly Chinese, you could see more Chinese than other tourists.
Okay.
But not Europeans, no Americans, no British.
Okay.
Maybe you could see every 2 months or 3 months an Australian hanging around here, or British.
And may I know how's the current safety situation given the situation?
Well, here in Syria nowadays it's very safe. All of Syria is very safe.
Okay.
I mean, gladly it's very safe. But tourists are afraid, especially like nowadays because of the U.S. Israeli-Iranian war. So even like tourists want to catch their flight, for example, in Jordan, they are afraid that the airport will be closed or the borders will be closed.
Okay.
That's why they just run or rush before borders will close or airports are closed. And that what happened 10 days ago.
So Hama, where we are standing here, is known for the place where Assad, like previous regime, launched the military operation to suppress uprising by the Muslim Brotherhood, and then during the incident, many people were killed. Right?
Thousands and thousands of people were killed.
So
even sometimes like the father and his kids. Father and his kids. Yeah, that what happened.
So may I know how was that experience? If you had experience during the
it was a tragedy. It was a tragedy. I mean, like the tongue is unable to describe that moment. So, well, I think it's a tragedy. All I could say is like it's a tragedy. It's a crime.
How the things changed since the regime changed? Maybe 2 years ago, like the Assad regime collapsed and new regime replaced, right? literally nowhere. We drove north from Hama on the way to Aleppo. Here you see picture of abandoned settlements known as dead cities. These villages actually were once prosperous community during the Byzantine era between the 4th and the 8th century. You see the stone houses still stand today, remarkably after more than 1,000 years. Most Greek invasion destroyed these towns. Instead, economic changes, restricting trade routes, thoroughly emptied them, leaving entire villages frozen time.
Because there are some wall being here, so putting some.
Okay, then they haven't removed it yet because it's very
there
far.
There are so many places have ground bomb.
Good morning from Idlib, one of the city located in northern west part of the country, and one last stop to Aleppo, which is the biggest city in northern part of the Syria. So I am in the middle of the what seems like amusement park here in Idlib, but as you see, the whole park has completely abandoned. There's obviously no one here aside from me, so that implies the city is like Idlib, which is a smaller city compared to other major places. So life here seems more challenging, as you see here in this amusement park. Probably they stopped the operation because of lack of infrastructures, energies. So what makes Idlib a special city is it's one of the most unusual political territory in the modern Middle East.
Nusra Front, the Syrian wing of Al-Qaeda, says it has taken over a key city in northwestern Syria near the Turkish border. The Sunni Muslim rebel group says it has overrun several checkpoints, though Syria's state army claims the fighting is ongoing. Ariya was the last city in the Idlib province still held by the government as rebels advanced in the region in recent weeks.
Campaign, and there are fears that a full-scale offensive could be next. The province of Idlib, home to 3 million people, is one of the last remaining areas in western Syria that the government does not control.
They are ready and waiting in Idlib city for what they think is the inevitable. After Homs, these people fear they're next on the regime's hit list. Here, the rebel flag flies in the city centre, but the area is surrounded by regime tanks and military vehicles. At the moment, the tanks are outside the city, an ever-present intimidation. Idlib's citizens believe it's only a matter of time before they move in and attack. And they have their own army here.
Does he think he'd be able to beat back the Syrian army in Idlib?
بقدر أكد إنه أنتم بتقدروا تهزموا الجيش الأسدي بإدلب.
أكبر دليل على هذا الموضوع إنه من شهر أو من 5-6 شهور لهلا ما شفنا حدا من الأمن عم يتفتل في قلب المدينة.
He said yes they can and we're not afraid of the regime military because we have a lots of faith and lots of members of the Free Syrian Army.
We are human. We are not an animal. Treat us like an animal, first of all. We are just a human. We ask for freedom. We can't have it unless we got a river of blood in our country. This is impossible.
What can the UN or anyone do to help you?
They can sell military groups, any kind of help. A humanity at least. Send us a medical, food.
During the years of the war, most of the Syrian returns to the government control, but only Idlib here remained different. So even before the previous Assad regime collapsed, the region has largely been administrated by Haita, a group of developed out of earlier rebel functions during the Syrian conflict. So over the years, millions of people displaced from other parts of Syria arrived here after evacuation. Cities like Aleppo, Homs, Hama, the neighboring cities. As a result, Idlib became both a refuge and a frontline place where daily life continues under political system, unlike the rest of the country during the conflict. So, despite its uniqueness, unfortunately, there's not much to see here in Idlib. So, right now I'm gonna head to Aleppo, which is the biggest city, northern part of the country. And so, yeah, let's see our last stop and what we're gonna see over there. Serjilla.